All right, we here. All right, we here. Yeah, man. The more and more I hear a lot of these channels and people, talking about certain things and different stuff, the more I start to grasp that understanding, about what's going on. And the crazy part is, man, oh, that knowledge of self, man, it's me and the good brother Gold Professor, shout out to him. Like I said, I try to stay on topic, but he made me jump into this conversation we was having yesterday. And it goes into the knowledge of self, you know, and just the first three keys into um the nine laws of self-govern. And it was funny because I tend to always talk about that applied selfishness. Not applied. I was corrected on that. Applied because it can be turned on and off. And with that applied selfishness, it's being what it said, turn on and off. When it needs to be turned on, it's turned on. When it needs to be turned off, it's turned off. But going into that, the discipline and the protection laws one and two was kind of like drifted in the wind, in my opinion, which I was more or less talking about that applied selfishness to get people to focus on themselves when it's needed. And that's the problem, you know. And he broke it down to me, said, if you don't have law number one, you can't even step to law two and three. And I was like, wow, I'm so caught up on, trying to do good for myself. I forgot about the discipline. And it starts with that, you know, because we was having a conversation of a incident that happened yesterday, and I was telling him, and I'm gonna go on and say it. It's going 100 So basically, he said, "Out, to an extent, you might have been in your feelings at that moment." And I laughed, and I said, "No, I was just getting some understanding and some clarity." And he brought it back to something that I said that I've always, recommended, to people. And I started laughing. What's going on, brother? I just seen your text. I just seen you hit my line earlier. And when it come down to it, man, it is crazy. It is truly crazy that, when we was having this discussion, that's what I like to build with Gold Professor, man. You know, because we have the discussions, we talk about things, on his channel, offline. You know, I met the brother online. Had sparked a great conversation in the chats and stuff like that, and we started building offline. And the network of people that I've come across, some might have been okay, but others have been great, man. You know, can't complain. The brothers that I've come in contact with truly, have an understanding of what they want or need to be motivated a certain way. But at the end of the day, that passion and everything is still there to, being on point in life. But the conversation with us, it started with discipline and the nine laws of self-govern started with discipline. That's the key in anything, Even with me always talking about knowledge itself, it's stemming from that discipline. If you don't have the discipline to get up on time, you're gonna be late for work. If you don't have the discipline to put the fork down, you're gonna get fat. I mean, it applies amongst all things. Discipline with, your family, making that time for them. Discipline with your job, you know, getting the job done in a timely manner. That protection, you know, protecting your well-being, protecting yourself, protecting your mind, you know, protecting your heart. Don't go down that path, you know, and that's hard for a lot of people, you know. It's hard for a lot of people, you know. It's hard for a lot of people going down that path and understanding. Morning, Frugal Mama. Nice workout this morning. But it's so hard for a lot of people to get an understanding about themselves because they don't know themselves. And that's the whole reason why I always talk about knowledge itself. I always bring that up about me and BGS having a discussion about me being married at 25. And he said, well, you had knowledge yourself at 25. How many men can honestly say they know what they want out of life at 25? Most men are just starting to come into themselves at 25, let alone hitting 30 and finding a path to take. You know, most men actually get to 30 before they honestly find a path. You know, I always tell people my story. My mother and father passed when I was young. So I took the different path than my brothers. I took a different path than my friends. It was to a point, sometimes I always felt like I had to be a kid. Even though I was a kid, I had to become a kid, you know. That's that's funny you say that. The man above, that's funny. My granddad was also a pastor. And, due to situations, I grew up, you know, in the church, singing all, usher, being on the usher board, everything, you know. And like I said, I was structured different because even though I had my fun and played with my friends, I just love hanging out with a lot of older people. And a lot of people told me I had an old soul because of that. You know, I would go sit there and talk with my granny for hours. She loved baseball. I didn't like baseball, but I did it just to sit there and talk with her. And I gained so much knowledge, with the men in the family. They would sit down and drink and talk, at the little picnics and gatherings and stuff. But they would always have this, information to, boy, do this and do that and, be this way. And not even just with me teaching me, just talking to the other men, giving them insight, giving them, something to look at and something that can change their mind in a different light. And it put me in a mindset that, I need to do better for myself, you know, listening and looking at my family members, man, years on end, man. When it come down to it, a lot of people they just didn't get it, And I would always tell my brother, like, I was blessed to not get in trouble for the stuff I did when I was younger. You know, I came up knowing the right thing, but I always say this, and I say that society standards. I thought that was something to be a thug. My whole thing when I came from out west, came to Georgia where my whole family at, my perspective changed on life about me, wanting to be in the streets and be, wilding out. Because my brother, he did it. My brother was in the gang. My older brother was in the gang. My older brother got time in jail, and he got it easy because my father was in the military. He went to a military boot camp till he turned 18. His friends all went to juvie, then to jail. So he got it better. That was the whole thing back in the day. You was always told if you make it to your 18th birthday, you was almost an OG because being in a gang was unheard of for you to even get almost to that age when you young, young gang members starting off. I think my brother started off young, probably like 13, 14 years old. Just didn't want to listen, and he thought he knew everything. And with our father not being there, he just thought he was gonna take on a different route. You know, and it was to the point to where a lot of people, just not grasping life, and that's where the knowledge itself comes in. You know, and yeah, I was on this channel this morning, and love to travel with waves. Her channel is good. She talks about just vacationing, traveling, just working on yourself. And I'm big on telling people to be accountable for themselves. And on her channel, she was talking about how a family structure, how even though you might be divorced or not together with this man, to the ladies, she said that's still your family. That man, you had kids with him, that is still your family. And going to him and working it out, saying that, we need to do what's good for the kids, despite whatever me and you had going on. This is for the family. This is for our kids. Because I always talk about this, man. That generational curse is crazy, you know. And the nameless protagonist always talks about how people, that epigenetics, how, you got diabetes running your family, heart conditions running your family, you know, all that stress comes, through your family. Even the point of view, just not being good enough in life, it all derives from your family. A lot of us don't realize that generational curse is something else, man. I've known people, and it's crazy. This one lady, you know, she was on Section 8. Her daughter was on Section 8. She got a house. I mean, she ended up getting a child early in high school. You know, well, I say the grandmother got a child a little bit getting out of high school, whereas the daughter, she got a child like right after high school, and then the other child got a child doing well, I'm sorry, the years after, because she had to go back to school because she didn't finish. But it's like that generational curse. Everybody. So let's say you had a man with his father and he didn't graduate school, but he did what he can to make the family work. Then his son comes along. He don't graduate school, but he do what he can to make his family work. And it's like a domino effect. Everybody keep going through the same motions, not finishing school, not doing the right thing, or not being a part of the family in a certain way. That's that generational curse. And until somebody steps up and break that cycle, it's gonna keep going and keep going and keep it's just like the structure of, like I said, having diabetes in the family and high blood pressure. It's from that same effect, you know, because we're not taught. So we're gonna keep going through this same cycle as everybody else until one of the family members say no. You gonna graduate from high school and go to college. You know how many families have first generation college graduates? You know, we always hear the stats of everybody going to college, but not many finishing. For one, school costs. Two, it takes time. A lot of people don't have the time and energy to finish school. So when it come down to it, we have that issue with us. HBIC room shaker. Hey, great conversations that you be having. I always stop in. I say my we here, but if I'm driving, I sit there and listen, and just driving. That's how I get my day go by, listening to YouTube with a lot of channels. But yeah, great, great. But like I say, when it come down to it, a lot of us we're not changing because we don't know how. Nobody's sitting out here seeking the knowledge, trying to do better for themselves or better. You want better for your kids, but a lot of people are not doing better for their kids. It's one thing to say, I want the world for my child, but then I still do the same habits that my parents did or I learned that were bad to put me in a situation to where I'm screwing myself. And that's the biggest issue that a lot of people are not seeing. You know, Knowledge itself is not showing that you got everything correct, but you're putting a balance on your life. And that's the key. You know, Trying to learn more, trying to be better in life, not getting caught up in situations. We always hear this thing about families and, getting married and stuff. What do you get married for? Most people, most people, I was on a channel yesterday, Red Lipstick Vibes. Red Lipstick Vibes. What's her Ty? And with Ty, she had a lady on there. I've seen on channels before. And she said that she got married just to get out of her parents' house and to, just not trying to shame anything her, but it's just that's sometimes we get married for the wrong reasons. Or we get married not even knowing what marriage really is. And she admitted that. She got married not knowing what marriage really was, and she was in it. She tried to make it work, and the relationship didn't work. So ultimately, she got a divorce. She had kids out of the situation, and she said when she got the divorce, her and her husband were more closer after the divorce when they were married because that separation made them have to, work together more or less what she really wanted in some situations, you know. And that's the thing. We do this marriage and not even knowing like why are we married? What do you, like honestly, what are you married for and why did you want to get married? A lot of people not taking those steps and do I really think this person going to be here for the long haul? Does this person behaviors that they, show now is it short term or long term? We don't question ourselves with that, you know. And the situation at hand puts a lot of people in the mindset of not really knowing because like I said, we're not taught this. To a degree, we're not taught any of this. No one sits you down and teaches you how to be a man. I had to talk with my oldest son, and there were some things that when I got into this space over here and started talking with a lot of men, I started telling my son, I said, well, I never really set you down and had the discussions on, being a man and responsibilities and things because I was always working, moving and going and we'll have our talks every now and then, but it was more or less on how is he doing, how is he progressing in school, building himself. And it got to the point where I was like, I never had that discussion with you. And he said, well, when it come down to it, I've always seen you the way you treat my mom. I've always seen how, the relationship between you and my mom was. So that made me, understand, the situation, you know, that made me understand how to be a man because he ended up getting two jobs and, he seen me had two jobs. And I told him, I said, man, there's nothing wrong with working hard. especially taking care of your family. You got some goals you want to obtain. You got to work hard to get to it. Even with my two younger boys, they 11. I got twins that are 11 years old. And, one of them has a ethic to, just do what it takes. And the other one, he's kind of relaxed. I'll do it if I need to. And when it comes down to it, I always, tell them, you know, you got to understand this is going to be for you. I'm gonna do about 5 more minutes because I know Gold Professor's on live now. So I'm gonna jump about 5 more minutes and I'm gonna jump off. But like I say, that knowledge itself is real crucial because you got to find that for yourself. That's even like with men and women. If if you want to get married, you need to be going looking at married men and women and see how their lives are progressing, see the good and the bad in that, because you can find knowledge in anything, good or bad, because the bad can teach you what not to do. And a lot of people miss out on that because when it comes down to it, you can learn from anybody. The point of reference is when it come down, are you willing to accept things? That makes that knowledge itself real strong. Like I always talked about a conversation when I was with a woman, and the whole sexual thing of us having sex and all that stuff when you're young. I know I could have easily, had sex with the woman, but like I said, it was just when we was in the date and the way she was, just her attitude change for towards the waitress. And I was like, if she have that same energy for a waitress, don't know the lady. The lady didn't prepare your food. She just only brought it to you. She had so much anger towards her. I couldn't deal with a lady like that. And most guys said, man, why you just didn't mess with her, have sex, and then just kick her to the curb? Going back. I didn't even want that energy as well. And that's like a lot of discipline people are not willing to take on, you know. And that's like the biggest thing. Like I knew to a certain degree when I got probably say about 23, 22, 23, that I started really coming into, if I want to get married, this is some things I need to change and do for my life. Then I started saying my parents died when I was young, so I need to get to a point where if I do get kids, I get them young and responsible, get married, do the right way. And that's what I did. I waited till I got married to have kids, you know, and a lot of people don't push that narrative no more, you know, waiting till you get married. Even if you have the kid with that woman, if you truly, having sex and you're dealing with her, 9 times out of 10, you want to be with her. So why not go ahead and get married? If that's just somebody you having sex with, I mean, at any given time, it's like Russian roulette. That bullet can come out the chamber. So, that's what young men need to be learning now to, keep it in the pants and have an understanding, and the women also. You know, every time you mess around, that's a potential baby, And I think I'm gonna do a part two to this knowledge of self because, the greatness is knowing yourself. Like I said, when I was young, not faulting for the younger generation, I've had my experiences. You know, I'm trying to teach them, yeah, you're gonna go through this path. I was wild and I was trying to have sex and mess around because that's what in my circle, what we did. That was the thing to do, to be the man to get the most women, to be the man that can do this and do that. But having that understanding, I try to prevent my kids from going through that because I don't want them to go through that path. So like I said, I'm about to get ready to jump off and swing over here to go, Professor. I'm gonna make a part two to this tomorrow. But as it stands, like I said, knowledge itself is all about you. You literally gotta respect yourself and have an understanding to be great. You gotta seek greatness. You gotta start seeking the knowledge. There's a lot of elders with a lot of wisdom. A lot of people don't get that wisdom because they don't know how to socialize and talk with each other no more. Just sit down and be at peace. I was on Bolo TV this morning, and the number one thing he was saying, and it related to me with us, just to sit down for about 5 or 10 minutes and just be in silent, meditate. A lot of people just, can't be quiet, no radio, no TV, nothing. Just sit in your car, phone down, and just be silent, you know. 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long time when you ain't doing nothing. But 5 minutes is a short time when you're doing something. But like I said, holla at y'all later. You know, I always till tomorrow we here and we gone.